Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of UHS Presents. And I'm your host, Sarah. Lori is unfortunately unable to make it to hang out with us tonight, but that's okay because I still got stuff for you. I've got news, and hopefully, y'all can hear me. So, because I don't have anybody to verify if you can hear me now. So, problem, right? Anywho's, today, so for what was I saying? My brains, man. So for the news, that's what it was. I wanted to tell you about news. We have the UHS news break here is that it's just two pieces, so pretty simple. Elsewhere is coming up here in just about 2 weeks. And so, we'll have the pre-launch page up for you to follow pretty soon here as soon as they approve it. So be on the lookout for that. And the other piece of news is that power broker backers, y'all are definitely getting your books, but there is a paper shortage. I don't know why. It's a supply chain crap. I don't know. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. But I can assure you that we're considering maybe taking it to another printer, but at this point, maybe there's no place that we can go that does have paper, so we have a potential maybe we just have to wait, and I just want to make sure y'all know that because it's not us. We didn't do it. It's those damn paper thieves. So anywho, today we are going to talk to you guys. We're going to talk to our friend Kat Calamia. I don't know. I forgot to ask how to say the last name, and I'm terrible about that. I like, how you guys know how I am about butchering the last name. So we're going to talk about anthologies with our friend Kat today, and here she is. Hello.
How's it going? Yes.
Excellent. How bad did I do? Is it Calamia or
Not too bad. It's Calamia. It's close enough.
I was like, I kept thinking that you had like calamity in your name somewhere at some point, and I don't know if I imagined that or if it's accurate, but I was like, oh, so maybe it's cat. Okay, so it sounds like calamity. I don't know. I was close, I guess. Close enough, right? I mean,
Close enough. I've heard worse. I've heard calamari before, and I'm like, where did the R come from? But yeah, no, you're the closest for sure.
Excellent, because that was my second choice was Calamia or Calamia, and I was like, I don't know, just gonna take a shot. But yeah, at least I wasn't throwing any extra letters in, so
Exactly.
And just so you guys know, Kat has a Kickstarter, and I'm gonna put the link in the comments here. And Kat, why don't you take a minute to just plug your Kickstarter because we want to hear about that too.
Thank you. Yeah. So currently I have a Kickstarter for the Dancer issue 2. And of course, you get issue 1 as well. It's about a dancer slash assassin. When she was little, she witnessed her parents being murdered in front of her and never dealt with that trauma until now. So we have a lot of awesome stuff for that Kickstarter, varying covers, metal covers, foil covers. So hopefully you guys can go check it out. And it's very easy to catch up and easy to catch up on our other titles as well. One that we're going to be talking about a lot, I'm sure, because we're going to be talking about anthologies for this episode. But by visibility, you get Slice of Life, our webtoon, my other superhero book like Father Like Daughter. So there's a lot of great opportunities there.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. I didn't take a close look. I'm so horrible about I'm supporting everybody, all of my indie comics friends. I support you with my my positive vibes. Like I'm terrible about checking your Kickstarters and remembering to back them because I always want to do that, but I forget. It's just all
hey, any way you can support, even if it's just positive vibes, is support.
Yeah, and that's we always say, yeah, like and share our posts that we put up on social media, and that actually you think that doesn't do a lot of good, but it actually does so much more good than you even can realize because when we post it for our studios, nobody sees it. And I think it's got something to do with that algorithm blocking business pages that don't pay for ads. But that's my suspicion. I don't know if I'm right or not. But the point is people who like and share our stuff, the reach is so much farther than if we just share it ourselves. So even if you can't, if you only have $1 to back, we'll take it. We will take, and we love to have any support at all. Even if you think $1 not enough, it is. We appreciate the hell out of it. And also, yeah, like and share. If you don't have that dollar, if you can't back at all financially, like and share. That's the best you can do. I mean, that's like as good as giving us the money too, really. So because reach, reach, we want reach. So anyway, we are talking about anthologies, obviously, and y'all, I just told you about we're gonna have Elsewhere coming up here pretty soon, and it's really good. It's not as big as Volume Two because Volume Two was ridiculous. It's more in line of the size of Volume One, but we have a lot of the same people, a lot of the same creators, and some new ones. So it's really good. And I'm biased, but so and you let's hear a little bit about your anthology because you do an anthology as well.
I do. So, back in August to September, we launched a Kickstarter for Bi Visibility, a bisexual anthology, and that made over 1,300 backers and $30,000. And we did really well. And actually, Volume 2, we just got submissions for, and we're creating that book literally as we speak. So, we're putting it together. We have all the stories now, most of the artists. So, in these next couple of weeks, they're going to really be putting this all together. Next couple of months, I should say. And then we plan on launching that in June. And it's going to be even bigger than Volume 1. That's all I'm going to really tease about that. But it might be cough, cough bigger, like literally. And we're really super excited about that. But yeah, it's an anthology about bisexuality, but we explore all different genres in it.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. I think that was one of the ones that Lori told me about because like at the time I had heard your name before when that first one came out and but I was like, "Oh, cool." And then she showed me and I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it now." And yeah, and so good. And so as far as our experiences with arranging making an anthology, it's always like each volume has been different, but so I'm sure that you're probably getting that now with doing your second volume of this one, but
For
like
sure. For sure.
it was weird. We struggled to find people to contribute to the first one. The second one, just everybody wanted to be in on the second one, and then the third one, um, we had a lot of people, but I don't think it was quite as many as the first at the second one, but like still plenty, and the quality of the stuff that's coming in it seems like it. I don't know, maybe I'm imagining that, but like it seems like it's going up. Like people who are really putting a lot of love and care into their stories are putting their stories or submitting their stories to us. So it's just I don't know. It's the quality is there. So like, how do you feel about the submissions that you get from from your first volume to your second?
We definitely got more. So that was it took us a lot longer to get through it all. It took us 2 weeks to get through all of it and like get all the emails out and stuff like that. So I think originally we got like 60 submissions, and this time we've gotten well, no, probably around like 75 submissions, including just like scripts and all that. And now this time we had like 200. um, so it was yeah, it was a lot of submissions we had to go through, and luckily I have my co-editor Phil Falco, who is also my writing partner, and then we also brought in Dan Falco to have an assistant editor's role. So the three of us, we were able to get through it all, and I could not do it without them. So I thank my team. And what was really different from this volume than the second volume, I would say, submission wise, again, there was a lot more of them, but there was definitely a diverse amount, which was cool. Like I think we got a lot more male like MLM, which is men like men stories. I feel like the first volume had a lot of women like women. Got a lot more male writers, which was cool. I know in comics it's weird to say because he's just like, oh, we want more female writers, but I think we did a good job of balancing female and male writers here because in the realm of bisexuality, there's not a lot of male representation. So that was really important to us. We have other identities. Again, I don't want to spoil too much about volume two, but we have other identities that are explored here as well. That through a bisexual lens. So that's really interesting. So yeah, I would say the big difference just because of how big this is going to be is the time of I feel like with volume one things definitely went into place a little easier in the regard of we had smaller, not as many stories, and it was our first time around. So it was just like, oh, okay, this is how it's supposed to do. And then this time around, we're right now in the process of finding artists or like putting artists together. So that's taking us a little longer than it did the first volume, just because there are so many stories and so many diverse stories. It's not just slice of life. There's a lot of different genres in this one. So taking our
Yeah,
time to really
it
get it
sounds
all
like
right.
yeah, it sounds like you have a little different method to putting yours together than we do.
Mm.
Before I carry on with that, I want to make sure. So Paul Henson's here. Hey, Paul. Paul's here a lot. I think you come and hang out with us a lot, and of course, super backer. So we're always happy to see you here. J had 9. I know that guy. It's my boyfriend. um, Paul said, where did it go? Oh, Paul said, wonderful about all your Kickstarter stuff. Like it was coming in while you were talking about your Kickstarter. So excellent. J Man's here. Hey, J Man. J Man's always fun to see around. And um, I don't see Steve yet. That's weird. So anyway, yeah. So you are saying that you're pairing up writers with artists. That's
Yes.
like we do not do. We ask for completed pieces when we are asking for submissions. So that's totally different. So how's your experience with that?
I personally really like it. Me and Phil are a bit, we like to control in a way. Like we like control in our projects, so that's the way to do it. Is that so? Well, I'll go all the way back to how we do submissions because I know it's different from other submissions, but me and Phil especially just love this process, and we hope to see more people do it. Everything's paid. So we treat it as like a work for hire. So that means that the artist gets paid for this. This is public knowledge, but for pencils and inks, for each page, you get $70 for the artist, and then $30 for the colors. So for each page, that's $100 page if you're doing both, and then the writers get $30 for per page. So a lot of anthologies do not pay their writers. So that's something we really want to do is pay our writers and pay everybody on the team. We have the same letter that does the whole book. I know there's certain books that also just like, oh, we'll get a letter for each story, or that. I would say most anthologies from what I've seen is that, you have a team, a writer brings everyone together. So it's kind of like an indie book, the way they do it. So it's like, a writer will get the artist, they'll pay for the art, they'll pay for the letter, and then they'll submit to the anthology. So we kind of want to do it a little differently, where we are kind of taking in the Marvel or DC route, where we get to pick the artist and we get to team people up. So what we do is that we have to get a full script though, because we really want to try getting the stories we think fit the best. So in that submission form, they give us a completed script. So that means we're right now in like draft 2s or draft 3s. Since that submission form just ended, we are now working with the writers to get finished drafts to the artists that we end up pairing them up with. Now they can submit with an artist and they can get teamed up with. In volume 1, we had a lot of those. But then we have artists that separately apply, because there's some artists that don't know writers and vice versa, and this is a way for them to meet. So we had definitely a handful of artists where we're like, okay, we're going to pick those out. And then we have people from our own pool where we're like, oh, we think that person would be really good for this story. Let's see if they're available. So that's definitely the big difference in what we do with ours, is that we definitely treat it more as a work for hire. Even though it is, they do own their own material, and it's pretty creator owned in that regard. Just the process of it is more work for hire.
That's so we when we do ours, we ask for completed pieces. We so I guess that kind of doesn't exactly absolve us from like the payment process, because we always want to pay people more than it's just how things are. It's like we want to pay everybody like tons of money to do these stories because they're always so amazing, but there's just never enough money to do everything that we want to do, of course, which nod because and I'm
Yeah,
sure
no,
everybody
I'm
else is nodding
just
because they
in
know.
total agreement. Yeah, no, total agreement. This is
There's
hard
never
work,
enough
and
money.
no, there's none. It's so funny where sometimes you can make so much money on a campaign. I think a lot of people don't understand, like, that money is going into production. They think you're
Right.
putting like $30,000 in your pockets. Like, no, 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 no.
Right.
There's a lot of that goes into paying for these things, and paying everyone that worked on the book, or just paying for printing or paying for everything. So yeah,
Yeah,
no, there's
that's something that Katie. I saw Katie's name pop up here because Katie just popped in to say hi. And Paul said, "Kat, I love your series." So
thank
Paul's all.
you.
I'm sure I didn't need Paul to confirm it because I just was like he probably backed you. He probably backed your stuff.
I have seen his
Um,
name before, so I appreciate always
Huge
the
indie
support.
supporter. He's an amazing supporter of it, like every indie comic studio that I know of that I work with. So yeah, Paul's like everybody loves Paul. Um, yeah. So and Katie, I hope that Jed's doing better too. Katie's dog wasn't doing so well the other day, not feeling good. But and Paul says I'm going to share the incredible opportunity to submit to these anthologies. So excellent. We always love that. Which
Thank
makes
you.
me think that we should don't let me leave this. Don't let me end this thing without you sharing how people can find that stuff because I just might do that.
Of
Not on
course.
purpose. I'm just a very forgetful person. But yeah, we pay people with like obviously you get this opportunity to get your book published, which I know like exposure is usually an awful form of payment, but we also try and give everybody some books to sell as well, which is like that's pretty good. I mean, like I'm thinking I'd rather have the money, but also like if I could, like yeah, because we're all like I'd rather have the money. I can't buy groceries with books, but you can take the books with you to conventions and sell them, and you have a copy to keep for yourself, and that's always fun. And we offer lots of we try to offer the little things like if you are in the comic and you want to buy more books to sell, like if you want more books to sell, we're gonna just sell them at the wholesale price to you. We're not gonna make you pay retail for that. um like we give everybody some books to have like right off the bat, and we try to help everybody to get the attention, like the social media, the advertising attention. We try to get them as much of that as we can, and that is kind of like that's what we're doing right now until we can build this up. And it's because it's getting bigger every year, and I think eventually we're going to be able to pay people the fair, the fair market rate to submit their stories to us. And the one other thing is that a lot of these people that put their stuff that submit their stuff to elsewhere, as we only accept completed pieces, um, they have already built these things for other stuff, so they've already maybe gotten paid for it, and this is just a bonus. So like what we lack and what we feel bad for in our ability to pay people, compensate them fairly for their work, we do the best that we can, and people are cool with that. So because we're not gonna ask that they submit stuff for free. So that's what we can do right now, and when as soon as we can do more, we will. And so I think it's amazing that you have the ability to be able to compensate your artists. I mean, $100 a page is it's not bad. I'd do $100 a page.
Thank you. Yeah, no,
Do
I
it for
mean,
a page.
for sure. Yeah, no, I think there's no wrong way to do an anthology. That is what I think I've definitely learned throughout this whole process, is that everyone has a different way. Like I've done anthologies that I again, I had to pay out of my pocket to do the art, but in the long
Mhm.
run it was nice just to be part of that community, and it was nice to just have another story there. So yeah, and I'm excited to see how anthologies end up going in the future. I'm excited to see how your anthology goes in the future. Um, yeah, I think the reason we went the route we did in that regard is just that there's so little opportunity for people from the ground up, especially writers, to get paid for their work. So that's why when I did start it, we didn't the volume one, we didn't know if it was gonna do well or wasn't gonna do well. But we're like, as writers ourselves and as indie writers ourselves, we always gotta, we do have to usually pay out of pocket to do art and stuff like that. So it's a nice opportunity for the writers to feel like, oh, I could just get paid for doing work, and then have work in this anthology that I can share. So yeah, and I hope there's more opportunities through Kickstarter where everyone's able to make a even stronger profit that's available for people. But again, I think there always are good ways to do anthology, and the best aspects of anthologies is the community aspect. I think that's most important. Forget about the money for a second. It's about being part of a community and working together with people.
Yeah, I for sure think that. But for me personally, I don't speak for everybody else in our studio, but I think that for me personally, just the beautiful art, like, and giving them the opportunity, giving creators an opportunity to actually be able to share the art. That's maybe, I don't want, I like, it kind of makes it sound like I'm being cheap here, but I was like, I love that that we can be a part of giving these people that maybe, like sometimes we get creators that have never published a single piece before, and they're like, oh, I'm going to get paid with is it 5 books? Is 3 books? We give them a stack of books. I can't remember how many, but yeah, we give them some books, and like just the opportunity to see their stuff printed on, professionally printed on a nice book is really great. And then, and we the money is, I think for a lot of artists, the money is, it's always in like the top 3 things that they care about, but it's never number 1. Like I don't know any artist out there that's doing this for the money, because this is, if you're doing it for the money, then you picked the wrong profession. So yeah, so that's, it's interesting the way that you guys do it is not completely different, but like there's a lot of stuff that does not overlap, and there's some that does. So that's pretty interesting to me. And then you center on the bisexuality for this stuff, for this anthology, like the trying to get that specific what's the word, I'm like the topic, but that's not really the topic. Like you want to make sure that your stories are featuring these kinds of characters to get the awareness out and such. Stop me if I'm totally butchering the meaning of your book here, but like ours is like we're not like rejecting any kind of sexual orientation stuff. Like we're all about putting everything in there. It's just that ours isn't centering around that. We're just like, hey, if you got a weird story that isn't long enough to make its own series, or it's not a superhero one, but your studio does superheroes and you want to get it printed, come to us and see if we can get it into elsewhere, because that's the perfect place for it. And it's not necessarily about, I mean, we're always looking for more representation, because like the world needs more of that, but we don't have a specific theme.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's what's cool about anthologies, is that some have themes and some are just like, let's put stuff together. And I think it's cool that in indie comics, there is a lot of superheroes, but there's not a lot of superheroes, especially on Kickstarter. So it's cool that you guys are doing an anthology for it.
Yeah, and like literally willing to put anything into this book. So I put a story in, like I actually made it. I managed to get it in there and get it done, and I'm just super proud of myself for that. I was like, it's not going to be the best, prettiest art in there, but like I'm pretty proud of it because it's the best that I've been able to do so far. And it's only 2 pages, and there's no superheroes in it. So like, but then I'm not sure where it's going to fall in the book yet, but it could be butted up against superheroes, maybe. Paul says bisexuality is dismissed too easily, and boy, ain't that the truth. Because like, if you're a woman who's saying I'm bisexual, then oh, you're just confused. And a man says it, and oh, you're just gay. It's like, really though? Really?
Yeah, exactly. And that's definitely what the anthology is about, is that it's all, there's all different stories to say about bisexuality, and that's why we're doing as many volumes as we can.
Yeah, I hope that because I missed out on your first volume, I'm hoping that when you get your second volume up on to buy, that I can get like a 2-for deal, because I wanted it, and I was so mad. I was so mad when I didn't get it, and I was like, Lori, can I just have your copy instead? Because I wasn't smart enough to get in and grab it, but I didn't. So I was like, all right, fine. I'm sure that most everybody does the volume 1, volume 2 deals when the Kickstarter's coming out again. So I'm like, I'll just wait and be the bonehead who has to go for that deal, because I didn't get the first volume when it first came out.
We do have volume 1 and volume 2, but we also have the Backer Kid pre-order store for anyone who's interested in the comic. And then
I
Yeah,
forget
and then
everybody has backer kit now. Everybody
right,
does it.
yeah,
It's so nice.
I know Lori does a great job with the backer kit stuff, but yeah, so we do the backer kit, and then also if anyone supports the dancer, there's add-ons where you get buy visibility there too. So anyone who
Oh,
missed the campaign could go check it out.
I was because I was like, I have it up. I have the Kickstarter page up. We can show it here in a minute if you would like to have a look at that. But I don't know because it's not an anthology, and we're supposed to be talking about anthologies.
That's true. That's true.
But
We
yeah,
can
like
stick to the textbook.
I didn't. I was starting to flip through it, and I was like, I don't have time to look at this right now. I'll wait until after the show is done, and then. So like, had I done that beforehand, then perhaps I would have noticed that I could have gotten that from this Kickstarter, so that's cool too. And maybe I'll just do that instead. And because I definitely want a copy. I wanted a copy, and like I said, I was super pissed that I didn't grab it. So Paul said, I followed Kat since father daughter.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, my superhero book, My Fallen Daughter, has been out for a very long time, and it's still going. Just we have so many projects. It's literally issue 8 is done. But we have the dancer that's been done for a while. Like all 4 issues has been done. So it's just a releasing schedule at this point. And you said earlier in the show, there's a paper shortage. So we got
I was just gonna say, like, are you guys
yeah.
getting that problem too? I mean, everybody else is. So
Yeah.
I assume.
Everyone is. We have our orders in. That's all you can really do at this point. But we have 2 comics that are at the printer right now, and we have this Kickstarter because it was planned to do. But after that, we are planning to do some other things. I don't want to spoil what we're doing, but do some other things that are not comic related, but are related to our comics, but not. Or you don't have to get a physical comic. That's all I'll say. It's merchandise related, so we are going to
So
be doing that.
Tangentially related, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I love me some merch too. I mean, like I love to get my hands on the books. Like this is going to be so sacrilegious to say I'm not that into superhero comics.
That's
I'm
okay.
not.
Yeah.
Terrible, which is actually funny because UHS doesn't. We just have the one superhero comic until we had the one superhero comic up until 2021. Unthinkables isn't really a superhero comic. It's superpowers though. And then Power Broker's kind of sort of superhero like. It's not. I guess I wouldn't actually call it that one a superhero comic either, but like the one that is 100% definitely a superhero comic is the only one, Super being that one, which everybody I'm sure knows that, but I feel like I gotta say it anyway just in case. Just in case somebody's watching that doesn't know anything and they just stumbled across this in their YouTube feed, we got to make sure we tell them.
Oh
So,
yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, and I'm not that into superhero comics, so I like the the space, the outer space, the westerns. Like, I mean, I went nuts over the Surgeon when I read the first issue. I loved it, and no superpowers at all there. Not even anything not anything that is out of the realm of possibility of this world right now either. Like, it's all kind of like this totally could happen. It would take a lot of very, very bad decisions, but it could totally happen. And then like the weird stuff, but it's not superheroes. So I love that we can get those things out there, and like, yeah, like getting the anthologies is a good way to start for like new creators. I think your anthology would be a great one to get into because you have quite the huge following, I guess. if I'm saying that right, because like I'm loopy too. Like I'm just everybody's been having that kind of. It's like it's only January. January's been such a tough year.
True. It's the month has been a whole year.
Yeah. Like you have a bit of a larger following here than we do, and you had just an explosion on your first volume. So that was wild to watch, and like Lori kept like every single day she was updating me on it, and so I have absolutely no excuse to have forgotten to back the damn thing. But yeah, like you had it's kind of, I'm kind of getting the impression that you were kind of surprised by that as well.
Yes and no. I think we knew it could do well. But we didn't have anything previously to show because we hadn't done an anthology before that. We had our other books. At that point, the highest backers we had was 500 or something backers. So
Okay.
we knew we could get we knew this if there's a property that was going to get a lot of backers, it would be this one. But we didn't know. Like everything's a gamble. It was a gamble, but we thought it could do well on Kickstarter, and we're happy it did. And
Right.
we worked hard for it to do well, and yeah, we're happy that people resonated with it.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. And then um what you said about knowing that it could do well but not knowing if it would is that's like that's true for any Kickstarter, isn't it? Like we are always like, I know this is a really good story, and if we can just get it into people's awareness, they'll totally want to read it. But you think that, oh, we always get X number of backers, roughly X number of backers for each campaign, so we can count on roughly X number for this campaign. So like for us with Miss Medusa, we were like blown away by the huge numbers that we
As you
saw.
guys should be. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
awesome.
and that was exciting. So like if we could do that for every single one, it would be so cool. But
But
for
everything
the
builds,
anthology,
you know, everything builds on top of each other. Because they found that one, there you might have a fan that goes all the other ones.
yeah, fingers crossed. The for anthologies, yeah, for anthologies, I think they can be a tough sell. Uh, I'm not exactly clear on why they can be a tough sell. But like sometimes people are like, this isn't one single story contained inside this issue. This is many stories, and they're all small. And so I don't know if that's the mindset that if like people are not necessarily as interested at, because I notice it's not that for us, it's not that Elsewhere does not get any attention. It's just that all the other ones get more attention, and I wonder like what are your thoughts on that? Like, did you think that? Because I mean, obviously, you had the exact opposite experience here with the amount of crazy amount of support that you got for yours, and I thought like that's interesting because we get those, we get people, especially like our core fans, they back Elsewhere and they want it, but then I wonder why, like why doesn't it seem like anthologies in general get the attention that a regular series does?
That's so interesting because sometimes I see the opposite. I see a creator put out an anthology and they tend to do better with their anthologies. But I think if I had to dissect, superheroes are harder to sell on Kickstarter. It's just a harder sell. So when you have an anthology mostly about superheroes, I think that's the harder sell. I don't know. I think it's a hit. Anthologies could be a hit or miss because I think in the direct market, DC Comics is obviously doing a lot of anthologies. I don't think because they're like selling extreme like better than Batman issue
Yeah.
124, but it's because you can sell it for more money. So, and also, I guess it's quicker to produce because there are less pages. You don't have to work on 30 pages for one artist. It's like, oh, this one artist can work on 3 pages, and I can get Jim Lee to work on those three pages. That could sell it. So, going to Kickstarter anthologies, I think it depends on the topic. Um, if an anthology is going to do well, and I also think it depends on who's in the anthology. I think depending on like if the people in the anthology also push on their social networks, I think that's something about buy visibility that we were really lucky on is that our whole
Mhm.
entire team really supported and pushed on social media. But then also I think something that we want to do for volume 2 is that most of the people in the anthology are different people. So we have a few artists that are the same, but we could have brought all the artists back, but we really
Mhm.
wanted to give other people opportunities for the space, but then b um this is a whole nother people to share the product and share it to their circles. So I think it's more of
Sure.
anthologies being a different beast on Kickstarter, but I don't necessarily think they're harder to sell.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That it's just that they're just different. It's not that they're better or worse or anything. They're just different, and
Hmm.
that's an excellent point. And that's could be said about a lot of things where you think that you're going to sell something well and it just doesn't happen. But and I thought that also with us with Elsewhere, like last year's volume, because we try and put out one every like it looks like it's about every February now. Like we're trying to shoot for every year at the same time, and um we had so many creators, chipping into volume 2. But what we did not have was a clear plan to help them promote to the best of their abilities. And we recognized that as soon, like it presented itself, partway through the Kickstarter campaign, and we were like, okay, everybody clearly, like, they want to promote it, they're down with helping us out, but they're not really sure what to do. So I think us as the publishers, we came up with a plan to help our contributors and like keep them posting and get them like stuff to post so that they don't have to wonder, like, should I only post my stuff? Is it okay to post everybody else's stuff? Like, same thing. So I think that I hope that we will this year see more help, more enthusiasm, I guess, for the contributors helping us promote, because we didn't really have a clear plan to help them make that happen last year, and this year we do. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out. And it sounds like you have like you guys put what am I trying to say? My brains, man. I was like, I know what I want to say in here, but I can't get it out the mouth for you.
To put like a strategy together.
Yeah. Do you have like a method of helping your contributors to help you promote to get so that everybody gets the success of the campaign?
Yeah. The day it comes out, we message everybody saying, hey, can you please share it on social media that this is out? Share it to all your people. And then honestly, the biggest thing was just tagging all the people that are part of the anthology and all the posts that we made. And that made those posts. Yeah, I know. It's
so hard to do. I made a little document of like all the with the ats in front and all the hashtags and stuff specifically for Instagram. It was like, that's the only way I'm not going to forget everybody. And sometimes people have different names on different platforms. So that's a problem too. It can be very tricky for me trying to organize those pages for us to make it easier. But yeah, like, tag everybody.
Tag everybody, and that will help you get retweets and likes and make that tweet go to more people. And same thing for Facebook. If you could tag the people that are a part of it, do it. We also had a part in the Kickstarter campaign where we shared about every story to make it personal. So I shared about my story and then tagged my artist. I shared about Julius' story who's part of our anthology and tagged him. So making it personal is really important, and making them do stuff that's personal. But I mean, honestly, it's just that we had a big team and they were really good at retweeting and liking stuff. But also, I think it was the subject. I think bisexuality, again, it's not really explored very much anywhere. And I think people just were excited to see it. So I think that's also
like just salivating for that, because they're like, oh my God,
exactly.
we just don't get enough of this stuff. So I mean, and amazingly, like, really, I want to say, like, that was a brilliant idea to do that to go for that specific theme. Sure.
Topic. Yeah, sure.
Right. But yeah, like it was, but I'm also like, okay, you know what? It wasn't about you wanting to be financially successful any more than it was about you wanting to give this visible platform for people who just don't get the visibility. So that's amazing.
100%. Yeah, I just wanted to have stories that I didn't grow up with, and again, after volume 1, we realized, oh man, there's so many more stories to tell that I just want personally tell. So I'm sure there's other people that want to tell their stories, and we definitely saw that with volume 2. Again, we just saw such a big difference of the type of stories. So we were like, oh, maybe we'll get a lot of women like women again. You'll get a lot of female writers again, and we got a lot of male writers. We got a lot of men like men. We got a lot of sci-fi. We got superhero stories. So we didn't have any in volume 1, and we had so many superhero stories in this one, which is interesting angle. I won't say we were able to have 5,000 superhero stories in this volume, but we have 1 or 2 in this volume, and that's cool too. Just seeing different genres that are able to be explored.
Yeah, that's cool too. Like, I'm special interest in this whole, like, how I said I'm just not that into superheroes. I was like, but in the niche of this book, I kind of think that I might be more interested, because I want to see how that gets worked into, because I assume that's part of the story in some way. Like, you have to tie it into the theme of the book. somehow. So,
Everything's
you know,
about bisexuality still.
right. So how does one work that into a superhero story? That's going to be interesting to see. So I'm excited for that. So, next question was, when you, please stop it, kitty. Like everything is distracting me and I'm distracting myself and it's just everything, you know. So, yes. So for uh a viewer, for a consumer of our anthologies, like your consumers were like super excited to have this anthology that was about like bisexuality and like people, like actual characters that this is a part of who they are within the story and everything. So that's what your consumers were excited about. For us, I guess our consumers are excited about seeing something that's, you know, more good stuff from, because like, I know we're like everybody keeps saying, and I am always just mind blown whenever I hear that we put out excellent stories consistently, and I'm just so happy to hear that. But like, they're looking for another facet of a really good storytelling, you know, and like what we would curate for that. But for a creator, particularly like somebody who is sitting here going, I like to draw, I think I'm pretty good at it, I have some good stories, but I don't know how to become an artist, like a professional artist. So for somebody like that, how do you feel like, what kind of opportunities an anthology like yours could present to such a aspiring creator, writer, artist, whatever?
I think there's two answers to that. If they're still in their journey of figuring out what their art style is, if they just began, I think it's just a good exercise to try, just to try to see, like, okay, let me write a story in this time period and see if it gets in. Now, if it doesn't get in, that's okay. You can try again next year. But then if it does get in and we liked your work, then that's a whole opportunity to be published and get paid for your published work. So I think either
Mhm.
way, even if you don't get into this volume or if you do get into this volume, it's a valuable thing to have because you got to practice. I think there's a lot of times where people are aspiring writers or aspiring artists. You're like, well, I want to be an artist. I'm like, "Oh, cool. What have you drawn? What sequentials have you drawn?" I'm like, what? And you're like, oh, well, like your sequential work. He's like, yeah, no, I want to just draw comics. Like, but you got to draw comics to draw comics. And same thing for writing is like, oh, well, you want to be a comic writer? Cool. Like, what scripts have you written? Like, I don't know, nothing. He's like, "Well, write that first script. You gotta write to be a writer."
Yeah, I just had a thought too, but then I was distracted because I looked over at the comments and Paul said I have superhero capabilities as a bi man. That all that qualifies you, because then I'm supposed to have superhero capabilities too. Come on, see, it feels, yeah. Where was my career advisor in middle school with that shit? Like, I could have been a superhero. Come on,
I think, yeah,
um,
no, that would've been a good career.
right. So yeah, I think that I wanted to add on to what you were saying about getting into the book, like, submit if you haven't done stuff, if you need the practice, submit. And on that, like on that angle, I would say, if you do get rejected, like for me personally, if I personally, as part of the team for UHS, say that if you do get rejected and you're feeling kind of crap about it, reach out to us. Because if you want to know why you got rejected, we'll tell you. We'll help you get better. So, and I'm sure that the same holds true for you if you have the time. Like, you have a little less time than we do, I think. But like, I am more than happy to answer those questions to the best of my capabilities. And I'm sure that I again, not speaking for everybody on the team, but I'm sure like all of us, like we're all real cool, and we're gonna, if you want to know why we rejected your story, we can tell you why. We can help you to improve and make it so that next year you will get in. And
Yeah,
so yeah.
exactly. Give the tools. I will say, just because we get so many stories, it's hard to give notes to everybody, so we wouldn't be able to give specific notes. But if you had any questions of like, oh, this specifically, this, and that, like, oh, is this the reason why I didn't get in, or blah blah, like we could definitely we could answer as honestly as we can. And yeah, our answer is always just try again next year. It I will say there's people that ask like, can I submit the same story? Um, if you didn't get in the first time, unless you reworked it I wouldn't submit the same story. What we actually do, if there's a story that literally just couldn't fit into the anthology, we usually send like a wait list. We'll send like, hey, we really like your story. You can submit again and don't change anything. So we will send that message to you and be like, hey, we would love to have you for volume 3. We literally just couldn't fit you. The other rejection emails are usually there was probably something that needed to be worked on to get
Mhm.
accepted. So knowing that, try to submit another story or try making other people read your story and working on a few drafts of that original story before
Mhm.
resubmitting again for the next volume.
So if I submit a story and you decide to reject that story and you give me, you're going to give me the stock response because that's the only thing that we have time for as the people who are curating these stories and putting them together into a book. Uh, so we're going to send these stock things out. But if I put the story in and you reject it and I respond, I email you back and say, hey, appreciate it. I appreciate you letting me know. And can you give me some specific tips, like what specifically about my story made it so that it was the rejection? Like you would be able to
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I
We can
know, and
definitely
not
give.
everybody does that, so it's easy to, like, if only 5 people of the 200 that you have to reject are going to come back with, hey, can you tell me why? It's so much easier
Yeah, no,
than
we
than
definitely could
trying to
give
do.
general notes for sure. We
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be able to be too specific, but we could give general notes. The only flip side of that is that if one person gets helpful notes, then you're kind of it sucks for all the other 100 people you didn't give helpful notes to. But at the same time, they took the initiative to act. So
Yeah, that's where I'm sitting with, like, I would be happy to give somebody some pointers if they got their story rejected from us because they took the initial, like, we I encourage everybody who submits to, if your story got rejected, like, especially for us right now, we don't get so many entries that we just cannot help all of you if you all email back and say, hey, why was my story rejected? Like, we're kind of in a unique position where right now we get enough stories that we can't squish them all into the book every time, but we and some of them get rejected for specific reasons, and some of them, like you said, get rejected because they just can't fit. And and I, at this point, though, we don't get so many, because I mean, it sounded like you said something about 200 entries, like 200 people just submitted stuff, and I'm like, how do you even get through all that? Like, I
I
don't
don't
have that
know.
kind of patience. How do you manage it?
I
And
thank my
bless
team.
them.
That's all I'll
Yeah.
say. I thank my team for being there.
I think I've said teamwork makes the dream work like 5 times just in the last 3 days. It's so weird. But it's like, it's such a cliche, but it's true. Like, if you got a good team, then you're gonna succeed. That's just a thing. It's gonna happen. And yeah, so for us, I would always be happy to give some pointers on that. And like, you are happy to do that too. And I'm certain that we wouldn't ever get that many people going, I want to know why. So I think that it would always be doable for us and probably for you too. I don't know how many times you've had people come back and ask you for specific um, reasons why you had not gotten into the anthology. So um, then, yeah. Oh, Paul says, I'm going to submit a story without artwork. To Elsewhere or to Kat's book? Because, like, if you submit it to Elsewhere, then we're gonna have to reject it because we only accept completed pieces.
You
Unless you
can submit to buy visibility without artwork. So if you're
yeah,
doing it for buy
yeah,
visibility,
it
go
sounds
for it.
like it sounds like you pair up your writers with your artists, which is really cool because I could have used that like 5 years ago when I was like, I have a story, but I don't have the skills to make it all, the graphics, the art. I don't have the skills for that, but I do have the story. Like, that would be great for me. Um, and Paul said that he loves your hair.
Thank you.
The curly hair. I am always like jealous of people who can get their curly hair to look nice, and I'm like all bored straight hair, so I'm always like curly hair.
I'm always
And
jealous of straight hair. So
that's what I hear. Like, I'll tell somebody I know that their curly hair looks great, and they're like, "Oh, but I love your straight hair." And I was like, "Yeah, but my straight hair is so boring." And it's like, well, I'm sure that the same is felt by somebody who's had curly hair all their life. Like,
Exactly. No one's
boring
happy with what they got.
no, bummer. So anyway, so yeah, so aspiring creators, uh, always like submit, and I think yeah, like you said, anthologies are a great place for people who haven't done a lot, especially if you haven't done sequential pages, because those are tougher than you might think. Like if you're just starting out with art, you're probably learning to appreciate that fact really quickly, is that it's really hard to make your art look consistent from one page to the next, and it takes a fair amount of skill, especially when you have characters that you have to make look the same and have different expressions but be the same person. Like that can be tricky.
For
I
sure.
certainly have that issue myself with just drawing two lousy pages. Is I was like, I had to keep making these people look the same. I was like, well, if I give them the same color clothes, then maybe that's all, and that'll be good enough. But it's not always good enough. So yeah, aspiring artists, that's a great place for them to start. And for I think for consumers, again, like I said, that the like for you guys, you had that need that needed to be filled, and you did that, and it was so great. And then for us, like somebody who wants to get into comic reading but doesn't want to commit to like when you're talking about jumping into Superman or Batman or something, where do you start? There's so much. Where do you start? But an
Yeah,
anthology,
exactly.
especially if it's an anthology that doesn't have, like, it's not a one-off story from a bigger series. Like I got, somebody gave me an anthology years ago, and it had a Dark Tower story in it,
Mhm.
and I was supposed to know what the hell was going on within there, and I had at the time no knowledge of what Dark Tower was, and so I was like, I don't understand this at all. What's going on? And
Yeah,
so
either way, it should be new reader friendly if there's an anthology, like
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
I mean that's a for again, back to creators. Like if you've got a series and you want to maybe try to expose your series to new readers that are anthology fans but not fans of larger series of comics, like that might be a way to get them aware of your comic as well. So that's excellent. We're almost done with time here. So before we go, I do want to show, if I can get this to share screen. I want to show the dancer here really quick. Did it do the thing? It did the thing! Yay! So yeah, and it's doing pretty freaking awesome. Looks like. I mean,
Thank you.
holy crap! How can, may I ask how long it took you guys to reach goal on this?
3 days. Yeah, 2 or 3 days, which was really cool.
Is it not a load off your mind every time that happens? Like we have had, I think, oh my gosh, knock on wood, we have only had one Kickstarter fail, I think. But like it's always such a relief when you hit the goal and you're like, oh good. Oh good. Now I can relax and have more fun with my social media posts, and I don't have to worry about like, can you proofread this for me because it sounds desperate.
Oh yeah, I think, that's a whole art form in itself, how to promote a Kickstarter on social media, um, and make it sound different every day. Which,
Yeah. Oh,
I've learned over the years, but it took a while.
yeah, can I do it? Show me the whole damn GIF. Ah, come on. I like these covers. I like the art a lot. Like this, I mean, I can see at least three or four different styles in here, and it's all so. I mean, as an artist, I'm looking at it going, I should buy it just so that I can look at it and take inspiration from the art style, because that's one thing I don't really have yet, is like my own style. But gorgeous. And you went through the storyline there a bit, and that one it sounds really captivating, really interesting. So I'm
Thank you.
definitely gonna I love this. It's got like I mean, obviously stained glassy, but like it's got kind of a Art Nouveau feel to it as well. Loving
Yeah, for
that.
sure. Thank you.
If anybody in the comments, if you want me to go back to one of these to look at it a little bit more, just holler at me. Just comment. Because I am flipping through here quickly because we only have like 5 minutes left. But yeah, like I said, the story looks amazing. This art is fantastic. and
Thank you.
there's no way that I'm not going to enjoy this. I can tell. And
I appreciate that.
and I encourage everybody who is a fan of our stuff to back all of the comic creators that we have on our show. It's like, you should back them. That's just how it is. Like we wouldn't have on a creator who we are not also a fan of. So yes, like obviously, and you've proven time and time again that you can do some pretty cool stuff. So I have no doubt. And I say that after I just admitted that I didn't even get your anthology. I'm like,
You could just see through the pages. That looks good.
yeah, well, this the preview art that you have on here is gorgeous. So I'm down just for the art. Like that's I'm actually really horrible about buying a book that's like I'm good. I'm getting it just because the art is pretty, and then not even paying attention to the story until I get it, and I was like, wow, like maybe the story is way more amazing, and I should have given it more attention, or maybe the story's kind of garbage. So, but
For
yeah,
sure. Hey, whatever makes you buy the book, that's all that matters.
Oh, and I just flipped past it. I just saw the book. Where did it go? I was like, I'm gonna get that. Oh, I don't want the digital one. I want the real book. There it is.
There it is, 15. There you go.
Yes. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that as soon as we're done with this here stream. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I am so happy that you could come and talk to us about this. I feel like I should have, because I had some semi-organized notes about this, but I was like, Lori was originally going to come and then she just couldn't. And so shit happens. And so I was kind of like, she had more of a plan for it. So I was like, I probably should have made her tell me what her notes were. Like, I was like, can you just give me your notes? But hey, we got through it. And I feel like that we have imparted some useful information to people who want to read anthologies, people who want to be in an anthology. And if you guys have any questions, I know you can always come to UHS, to our page, our Facebook, our Instagram, whatever. Just comment and ask about it, especially if you comment on this live stream recording. Go ahead. I'll be happy to answer questions about, like, if you want to know how you get into it. I'm happy to help you out with that. Lori is happy to help you out with that. If you, I don't know if anybody specifically wants to be a part of your anthology, just toss a note at you so that they can see what they can do. And we also have, if you go uhstudios.com/elsewhere, which do you have a link that you want to throw out there for everybody?
At Comic Uno on Twitter is probably the best place to find me, and obviously the Kickstarter. Those are the two links.
Yeah, like Elsewhere, our Elsewhere page tells you about what we are looking for when we want you to submit. If you're looking to submit to Elsewhere, then go to that page, and then you can see these are our submission guidelines. Because following, that's a thing that'll get you some brownie points with those of us who put the book together. Is like, if you follow the submission guidelines, we like you. We like you a lot.
Follow the rules for sure.
Like, we're not going to automatically throw your submission into the trash can for that, but like we don't want to have to come back and tell you, okay, like, you didn't do this part and we need you to do that part, because like there's a reason. Even if it doesn't make sense to you, there is a reason why we ask for specific things that we ask for. So definitely do that too. And always, if you're not sure, reach out and ask. If you're like trying to submit, reach out and ask if you're not sure about something, because we'd rather you submit correctly the first time and get the help that you need before you submit than to have to send it back and be like, you didn't do this right and we need you to do that right. So yeah, definitely do that too. But so you're at Comic Uno are you on Twitter and Instagram? And
I am on Instagram. Don't use it as much, but I am on Instagram at Comic Uno, and then Comic Uno on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube as well.
Okay, and so yeah, so like that's where you can follow Kat, and obviously y'all know, if you're watching this, you already know where to follow us and how to follow us. So, but we're at UH Studios pretty much everywhere. And so that was so I think that we got a good scraping into the anthologies and what they're about. So I would love to be able to have a more coherent plan for talking about them, because I think that there's a lot of questions that we didn't answer that we totally could have, and I'm excited to be able to cover that in more depth at some point. So thank you so much for coming and talking with it about us. They're talking about it with us. Jesus, my God, my brains. And yeah, so definitely go back Kat's stuff. We put the link in the comments. I'm going to put the link in the comments again, and follow Kat's stuff and share and like, just all that stuff that we told you at the beginning. Do all that stuff, even if you can't back, or if you know what, if you don't want to back, that's also fine. But like and share just because we asked you nicely, maybe. So yeah, everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you for everybody who came and watched. Thank you again to Kat, and have a wonderful night. And we will be back next week. We are going to be doing Free Comic Book Day. We're going to be talking to Morgan Iverson about his new Kickstarter. What is the name of it? Lumberjacks. That's the name of it. So we're going to do that, and we hope to see you. So everybody have a wonderful night. Bye.